Picking your niche could be one of the most confusing decisions you're going to need to be making, whether it's in your coaching practice, you're in your community practice, whatever it is that you're trying to do, that you are looking to build and looking to just sell or whatever it is, create something. Your niche is something that everybody talks about. And you need to figure it out because at the end of the day, you can't be selling to everybody. And the more you can get it dialed down, then the better off your message is going to be. So I want to share with you the back and forth that I've been having in my own mind in terms of a specific decision, in terms of my own niche, in terms of what I'm looking to create, depending on when you're listening to this and where you're listening to this, about my online community. I'll give you some backstory. So as a profession for 11 years, I was working as in high schools. I was working at in private schools, and I was a dean of students, and I was working a little bit post high school, working with different guys and really helping them and working on their development. And really, didn't really enjoy the teaching so much, but really just working one-on-one with the guys to help them become the people that they wanted to become. And then after I worked there, I did a little bit of real estate, which I still do on the side. And then I started to get into coaching, which I'm still doing also, as well as I was a COO of a construction company. So based on all my experience, think about this, based on all my experience, I had to make a choice in terms of which niche I was going to serve the most. So in terms of the young adults and teens, I created a program for them. It was an 8-week program called Next Gen Navigator, which I still work with people like here and there, but it's really not my main thing now. But the basic idea of that was to use all my experience that I had working with young adults and really just help them continue that process. Well, it's interesting though, when it came to my coaching, I also started to work with personal development with people in the business aspect. So there was like trying to jump around from place to place, which really happens in coaching because at the end of the day, you think you want to do one thing and then you start working with those people. And then you realize, you know what, I don't really want to work with those people. And then you're like, but something was right about them. And you continue to take that action. And that was what I was doing. And I was on this journey from the beginning. Who do I want to work with? Is it just business people? Is it really on the personal development side? Is it on the mindset side? And I started to create this little niche that I found that I really enjoyed. And what I really found interesting is that I started to more enjoy the person I was working with than sort of the topic that we were working with. Because at the end of the day, when I finally quoted myself as a performance coach and helping people get from point A to point B, I realized it was more about the person. It wasn't really what it is that they wanted to be doing. So whether it was in their business life, their personal life, whatever it is that they wanted, it was more the type of person that I was really intrigued by. And then I realized after I started doing the real estate thing, hey, why don't I just do some real estate coaching? I could help people in real estate. And ironically, a lot of my clients that I was working with happened to also be in real estate. And they liked the fact that I actually knew what I was talking about in terms of real estate. I told them I'm not giving you advice about real estate. However, I understand it. So when you're talking to me about construction or about permits or about subs or whatever it is that you're going to be talking to me about, I have an idea. So it's actually more beneficial to you to work with me as a coach, even though you're not hiring me for my real estate expertise. And then as I became a COO of a construction company, I realized, hey, I could work with other people in construction. I could become not just a performance coach who happens to work with people in real estate, but I can also become people in real estate and work with them specifically and only real estate people. And that's even more of a niche. And I started to go through all these different things. And I realized, oh my gosh, I'm going to make myself go nuts because the one I could work with young adults, I could work with personal development, but really anybody, young or old, male or female, or I could be working in the real estate field. But then there was one more thing that I really, really enjoyed, and that was creating content. And it wasn't just creating content per se on Instagram or YouTube, which I do enjoy, but it was more getting people's messages out. Because I realized that one of the things that I've learned is that when I was younger, or when social media first came out for the first 10, 15 years even, I wasn't on it. I was actually very anti it. I would like stay away from it. I didn't have anything. I didn't have Instagram, didn't have Facebook. I had Facebook, but like I barely used it. And what was interesting is that as I became older and I saw the importance of marketing and really just being online and seeing the impact that I can be making while I'm online, I realized that, you know what? There are a lot of people who are scared, who can't get themselves to be out there, or maybe have such a good idea, but they can't really formulate their idea. And I really loved helping people do that. And I realized that a lot of people who I spoke to who were asking me what I was doing because they saw that I was doing a podcast. I had a YouTube channel. I wrote a book, right? I had online courses. I was doing all of these things. I realized, oh my gosh, there are people out there who would like to do that. And what was also interesting is that those people were really inspired to work on themselves, to really become somebody, to really learn a skill to help themselves do more. So now I had this fourth niche that I was trying to deal with. And when I was starting to create my online community, because I realized the online community is something for me personally that I would be able to get the most energy out of and help the most people, I realized that out of the four of these, the last one, which was the aspect of helping people create their message and then be able to help them amplify it, is going to be something that I believe is going to be giving me the most energy, as well as something that will financially make the most sense for me. You see, when it came to the young adults, there was always this big debate because a lot of the times I was fighting with the parents to keep them to stay, or I was fighting with the kid because the parents wanted them to stay. And very rarely did both parties want to continuously work together. And not just that, teens are teens and young adults are young adults. They want to have a good time. So it was actually really difficult. There happened to be a handful of people that I really enjoyed working with. And maybe if I would continue working with those types of clients, call them not really students anymore because they're older, then I think would have been really something beneficial to be able to work on. But I ended up getting burnt out from it. When it came to the real estate thing, I realized that I know stuff and I could probably help a few people. But at the end of the day, I don't think I had that expertise enough for me personally to feel comfortable enough to start to charge whatever I would be charging for that. Then again, if it was on the personal development side, then that's something that I think will be beneficial, but something that I noticed in the industry itself when it came to personal development. And I'm hopefully going to disprove myself wrong because I have an idea of how I want to show myself that it was just a limiting belief. But right now I have this belief when it comes to personal development that unless you are some big shot or you have already a massive following, it is very hard to get into the field of personal development. Because what are you selling them? I'm going to help you build your confidence, but there's no way to really measure that. I can't really help. I can't say, hey, take this test and now you see that your confidence is going to be higher or lower, right? Or I can't say after 6 months you're going to have higher confidence, or you're going to have, your self-esteem is going to be so much, way through the roof, and you know what, all these other things, you're going to not be shy anymore, and you're going to be able to not be a people pleaser, like all those things. Like, it's very, very difficult. And guess what? It takes a lot of work and a lot of effort. And for the people who are working on themselves, they're listening to podcasts like Brendon Burchard or Ed Mylett, but they're not working one-on-one with them. And I realized that if I want to become that type of person who's working on their personal development, then I need to build a bigger platform to be able to help those people. So for something for me personally is I really enjoy talking about this topic, and I think it interweaves so nicely with anything that somebody's trying to do. So I'm going to continue speaking about it, but I'm not going to be building my business off of it. And then maybe in 5 years from now, I'll look back and be like, I'm happy I made these YouTube videos. I have my YouTube channel because now I have millions of subscribers. But when I first started, I had nothing. So to build a business off that could be extremely, extremely difficult, even though there's so many people that wanted to be doing it. But like I said, I'm hopefully going to prove that was a limiting belief. But right now, that is my belief about it. So when it came to this online world of course creation and of podcasting and of writing books, I realized that I can give something to somebody I can give something tangible to somebody else. I can help them write their book. Yes, I can give them a roadmap, and at the end of the day, they're the ones who are going to have to sit down and write it. And if they don't, that's their responsibility. Or I could give them all the tools that they need to get on podcasts and give them a platform of people that they can start to work with in order to be able to work with one another. But then again, they still need to make that decision in terms of what is that they want to be doing and how it is that they're going to set their schedules up. I can't hold their hands 24/7, but I can give them the support. I can tell them the bumps that I went through. I can give them the inspiration and just the energy to continuously take the action to do what it is that they want to be doing. But then again, they have to do it. So I realized that based on all these things, it made the most sense for me to be able to do that last piece, that last idea of really helping people. But when it comes to picking a specific niche, because for some people, they might have many options like I did. But for other people who are just starting out, they don't know where to be looking. So for the people who don't know, I don't even know where I should be looking, I would say look at yourself 3 years ago or 5 years ago. Who is one mentor that you looked up to? Or who's one mentor you wish you had in your life that can help you just get you to the next stage, to that next step? And what's interesting is that you're not going to realize this, but in 5 years from now, there's going to be somebody else. And that person hopefully you can find in your life now that you can then start to do that for other people. And I think what's interesting is as we are on this journey of life and we're constantly looking to grow within life, we have the ability to help other people who are a step or two behind us. And one of the things about the real estate, reason why I wanted to do the real estate is because I realized, you know what, I'm not going to be helping somebody develop a 200 unit building, but maybe I could help them flip their house, or maybe help them build like a 4 unit building, or, manage a 10 unit building, or something that I've done, something that I feel comfortable with because I've done that. And for other people who have just started or haven't even gotten into the game yet, that is a massive, massive help. Right now I recently joined the community in terms of how to run ads. And for me, it was silly, but I got my first win of posting my first ads. And I posted it and I was like so embarrassed. I'm like, why am I posting my first ads? I'm such a joke. I'm like literally just getting into the game. And it was so nice to see the support because so many people have such a hard time even posting their first ads. And I realized that, no, you know what? Now that I'm going to learn the skill of posting ads, guess what? In 2 years from now, 3 years from now, I can then help other people do it and go through the same roadmap that I did in terms of how it is that I went through that process of making my ads. So we have to understand that if we are the type of person who doesn't know what niche we even want, recognize who is somebody in the past 3 to 5 years I wish I had in my life. Who would that ideal person look like? And how can I get that person to help me out now that I could then help other people out with that? And I think that could be something that could be really powerful. But then when you're on the other side of the aisle where you have so many decisions like I did. So number one is, I think more important than what you decide is that you decide. I think that was one of the biggest lessons in my 20s is that I had so many opportunities, so many things I wanted to be doing in my 20s and my 30s. But then guess what? I just didn't make any choices. I was so stuck in terms of what it is I wanted to be doing. I couldn't make a decision to move forward. And I realized that more important than what it is I decide is that I need to decide, because life is not just one decision. This one community that I'm starting now is not going to be the end all be all, but it will definitely take me on this path to the next door and to the next door and to the next door. And then hopefully throughout my life, I'll have so many different opportunities. But if I'm just stagnant, staying in one room, and this is something that I write in my book, if you are on Amazon, feel free to find it. You could even just email me and maybe I'll give you a free copy. But I'm not saying I will, but I could. So maybe, I don't know. Email me. We'll find out if I remember this podcast. But recognize that if we can just look to make one decision right now that can help us move forward just a little bit, that could be something that can be so powerful. And I think for so many of us, we have decisions that we've been waiting to make because we're waiting for something. And a lot of times we're just fear. Picking a niche for me in my coaching world, it was so hard. And once I made it, you don't realize how difficult it's going to be. And you're like, oh, but that niche is going to be easier. That other one's going to be easier. And it's like, they're all going to be hard. And I think once you recognize that, and once you just appreciate, okay, it's going to be hard and that's okay, I'm going to put my head down and move forward. That's going to be something that could really help you. So get really clear in terms of what it is. What are your different options? Try to figure out which is going to be the most beneficial. Speak to people, reach out, come join the community, and ask people, hey, out of these three, what do you think is the most financially beneficial? Which one is going to have the most impact? Which one should I start building? Which one should I wait to build? What can I do to set myself up in the proper place? All those things could help us to be able to move forward. So I think if we could start to ask ourselves these questions, I think that could be something that could be really, really powerful and really help us be able to move in the right direction. Wishing you the best of luck. It's not an easy decision, but understand indecision is the thief of opportunity, as Jim Rohn likes to say. So don't give yourself a missed opportunity because you weren't able to make a decision.